whole Slavs and this and that starts up. So that's interesting. Let's actually go north, and we see for once America has taken a hard decision of stopping aid, military aid to Ukraine. Now, interestingly, Trump tried it once. He stopped the intelligence. They got hammered for 3 days. And I think some people went back and said, don't do this, man. Poor chap is getting hammered. So I think he switched it on again. But I also believe Trump can't walk away from Ukraine without showing strength. It can't be a beating retreat. It needs to be a strengthened retreat. So he has to keep supplying Ukraine with some amount to the other. And that kind of elongates the thing. So how do you think this whole Russia-Ukraine thing is going? Because interestingly, yesterday Wang Yi went and spoke to the Chinese. I've not known the Chinese to speak loosely. You know the statement he gave yesterday. He says, we want the Russian war to continue because then America is stuck there. Otherwise, they will swing and come towards us. Now, we all know that. But this is the first time there's an admission from the Chinese. And I don't think the Russians are going to like it. So how do you think that geopolitical power game is going to open up?
Look, yeah. So first of all, we have to understand Russia and China aren't really allies. Russia doesn't see China as an ally. Russia sees China as a burden,
Right?
as a liability. But they have no option but to go along with the things the way they are right now, as of today. Russia's FSB has, one of their memos has leaked out in which they regard China as the enemy, and China has a pattern of treating Russia as a junior partner and of bullying Russia, and they have been more and more aggressive cartographically against Russia in recent times. So Russia understands what the deal is. China is no friend. China is no ally. And if you look at the geography, it becomes very clear. Then Russia and China are actually natural adversaries. They simply can't be allies. If you want to see two natural allies, it's India and Russia, because we have nothing in common. We have no disputes. We have no border issues. We are far away from each other, and so on. Now, when it comes to Ukraine, the Chinese would be delighted if the Ukraine war goes on for the next 10 years, because America is stuck there. It's bogged down there. It's always something that the US president has to keep in mind that, Ukraine needs to be kept active as a war zone, and you can't allow Ukraine to fall. And I think Mr. Putin is okay with that. For whatever reason, Mr. Putin has decided, he has chosen to adopt the long war approach. Let just keep it going, keep it going. I mean, when the war started in 2022, there was a Russian column that had reached the outskirts of Kiev, right? A Russian military column that had reached the outskirts of Kiev. They could have taken Kiev. I mean, there would have been a siege, a battle, or whatever. But Russia's military superiority is well known to everybody, and they would have taken Kiev. But for some reason, maybe there's the hand of Mr. Johnson and Miss Angela Merkel also somewhat in this. Okay, that's also there. But Russia withdrew, and ever since then they've been fighting this low, stagnant war thing,
Grinding war.
and yeah, grinding war. We have all these little fronts that have been opened, and it just goes on forever. And see, Russia overall has done fine. They are not in danger of running out of ammo or running out of spare parts or any such thing. And on the actually, it's the other way around. Their industrial complex is really ramped up, and now they may have surpluses of these things. And they also have their air force, which is mostly in reserve. It's hardly been used. So the question is, what is Trump trying to achieve? In the past also, like you rightly said, he switched off the tap for a few days and then he restarted it. So is he trying to send a message? Trump is that sort of person. He will do all kinds of contradictory things. He's always got some short-term angle. I want to achieve this, and let me do something else in some other direction. So he's always trying to achieve something short term. But does Trump have the capacity to think long term? I'm not really sure about that. Maybe he does. He's not a stupid guy. But overall, it's the US military industrial complex, and it's the Pentagon that's running the war with Ukraine. So how do I see this going? I think it's going to go on. I think it's up to Russia to decide what to do. If Russia decides to make a proper move on Ukraine, on Kiev, they can do it in the next week. I'm pretty sure. See, right now, what's the month? It's June, right? So it is not the Rasputitsa season. There's no bog or anything. The ground is hard. And if you want to make a move on Kiev or any major Ukrainian city, you can do it in a few days. And Ukraine, look, their manpower has been really decimated. They have old guys fighting now. All their young men are gone. So the question is, how long does Ukraine keep on fighting? But
Yeah.
you would also think about the fact that the US is invested in Ukraine from the minerals deal perspective. 500 trillion dollars worth of minerals Ukraine has, and the US
These
wants that.
figures, these figures are just so humorous. It's not funny.
I know. Whatever.
India,
Yeah,
India, who has the third largest reserves in the world, is just about $2 trillion. But
I know.
Pakistan, which falls ninth on the list, is $50 trillion.
50 trillion dollars. Yes.
Yeah.
So these are all numbers that pull out of their backsides, essentially. Okay, the West. I mean, if you look at the nuclear arsenal figures that they have, India has 170, Pakistan has 160. What did they come and inspect? How do they know India has 170 nuclear weapons? How on earth do they know how many nukes the Chinese have? This is all something that is
It's all bump.
what you call in Hindi man ghadat,
Uh,
numbers.
Absolute bump. I mean,
Yep.
it's in open records that India has been making 5 to 7 nuclear weapons a year constantly, and it's actually increased a little bit post Modi Saab came in. It's
Look,
open, but
if you really want to talk about nukes, you have to estimate, and you can do this actually rather well. You have to estimate how much fissile material each country has, and based on that, you can make some educated guesses. But you can't simply put out numbers that inke paas itne nukes hai. I mean, who
well,
the hell are you to say that?
we have mined only 94,000 kgs of nuclear uranium in the past 10 years only. So that should tell you. Yeah, some of it goes to the nuclear reactors as well for electricity, but 94,000 kgs. Hmm, interesting. We are also exporting some stuff. Oh, yeah, fair enough.
Mhm.
Uh, when we come to America, let's talk about Uncle Tap, Tapu, Taco the Tapu, and whatever. There's too many names for him. But I think there is a method to his madness. If you read his book, which I did recently, the Art of the Deal, he says what he's doing. I don't know why people are so shocked. I make fun of him. I love it when he cracks out, and it's interesting. But when I look at uh, you know it when I look at this game, he always escalates it to 300 degrees, then he'll bring it down to zero, then he'll take it up to 250, then little bit, he's basically not trying to get 50-50, he's trying to get 51-49, and he calls that a win. How do you think he's going to go forward doing this stuff? Because he is getting results in certain areas. He's raked in $121 billion as far as tariffs is concerned in the past 3 months. His bills are getting crossed off. He's able to kind of fight off all these damn protests. The Democrats are in shit. The Europeans have backed off. The Canadians have backed off. He's able to get results. So, what do you think he's trying to do going forward? What is he going to do?
Well,
I mean,
what
there are
Trump
failures
is
as well.
doing.
Let me say this before people call me a Trumpophile. There are failures as well. The guy's made big mistakes as far as people is concerned. Look at Elon Musk and this and that. He doesn't know how to handle all that. So there are failures as well. So yeah.
So first of all, when it comes to Elon Musk, I think it's an ego issue. Elon
Oh
Musk
yeah.
is way more successful than Trump, a way bigger billionaire. I mean, the world's richest man. Where is Trump on the one top 1,000 list? I'm not sure if he's there. So there's an ego issue, right? I mean, Elon is much younger than Trump, and yet he's achieved so much more. So there is that. Now, when it comes to Trump and his agenda and whatever he's doing, I think he is simply carrying out the task that has been given to him by what we call the Ghera Rajya, the deep state, the people who really run the US. Look, it was not possible for him to win the election without having agreed to be on
Certain things.
board with what
Mm,
the agenda of the deep state is.
mm.
We know there is a deep state. This power center somewhere in the US or somewhere wherever it is that controls the nation, and the nation keeps running no matter who's in power or not in power. Like we had the last 4 years of Biden and Kamala, who were both incompetent, but the nation was fine. So we have a deep state, no question about it. And Trump is simply carrying out their agenda. The agenda seems to be to reconfigure the world. So right now, what the Americans are doing, what Trump is doing, well, so to say, is that he is imposing some burden sharing conditions on his allies, on the US
Yeah.
vassals or the US assets, which is the EU, the NATO nations, and other nations. More burden sharing. You until now were paying less than 2% of your GDP for the upkeep of NATO. We were shouldering the entire burden. Now it's time for you to ramp it up in the next 5 years, next 10 years to 5% of your GDP. So this is going to accelerate the industrialization, the defense industrial complex of Europe, and it's gonna there's gonna be an arms race essentially. So Russia will also have to ramp up its things, and yeah, the world is militarizing. So that is one thing he has achieved. And look, if it was simply his own whim, then nobody in NATO would have agreed to it. But obviously, clearly, there is weight behind what he is saying. There is an unseen weight, which is why. And see, when it comes to NATO, if you are a leader of a NATO nation,
Yeah.
and you go to the NATO summit, I suppose you will have a handler assigned to you, and the handler will whisper sweet nothings into your ear, and you will be told how you're expected to behave. So I
Obviously.
suppose all of these NATO leaders, so-called leaders, elected leaders, they have handlers, somebody to handle them, and that's how it is taken care of. So that's why there was very little resistance in NATO to Trump's agenda. In the past, when he was president for the 45th time, I mean the 45th president, there was a whole
Really.
different approach to Trump. Nobody took him seriously. Nobody took him seriously at all. This time, everyone's taking him seriously because he's on board with the agenda. So the agenda is to completely reconfigure the world. Now,
Yeah.
even the U.S. allies are not being spared when it comes to tariffs. So there is that, and nations like India, we still have this 9th July deadline, right? Which is not too far away now. It's just a couple of 3 4 days ago, 3 5 days to go, I think, for the 9th of July deadline. So he's trying to reconfigure the world through him. The deep state is doing it through him. So we are seeing a bifurcation of the world order. On the one hand, we have the Russia China led bloc, which is also North Korea and Iran. On the other hand, we have the rest of the nations, the Western nations, the ones that typically are called the free world, and they are going in a different direction. And then we have the global south, which needs to perhaps make a choice at some point in time. I think India is already being pressured to make a choice. And yeah, so that's what he is doing. I think he is simply acting as a conduit for the deep state's agenda, and I think he's going to be pretty successful at what he does, what he tries this time around. This time around is going to be pretty successful. Last time he had very modest objectives. He wanted to build a wall. That was his great dream. I want to build a wall between the US and Mexico. This time there's no talk of a wall. This time he's rampaging across the world and reconfiguring the world. So I think he has been chosen to do
People don't realize that, and the kind of attitude he's showing to people. It's basically he's trying to reestablish the hegemony that Biden lost, right? He's trying to do that by just ridiculing everybody around the world. You look at everyone. He's ridiculed Modi, Putin, Xi Jinping. He's ridiculed everyone. And he's doing this on purpose, by the way. There's a method to his madness. It's not this thing. Guys, let me just say this: those of you who follow me on Twitter, I will still make fun of the guy. I mean, why not? His tweets are funny. I mean, come on.
Oh, he's
The
super
guy,
entertaining. Super entertaining.
he probably sits on the shit pot and goes after all those hamburgers that he eats.
Especially those posts on Truth Social with capital letters interspersed within a sentence and whatnot. I
I
mean,
love it.
seriously.
Oh, I've started doing that actually. I've started
Okay.
putting capital. Yeah.
Thank you for your attention to this matter.
Yeah. He's probably sitting on a shit pot, Melania calling him for outside. Yeah, I'm coming.